Hey everyone, welcome to From the Depths. I'm Menti, and this is episode 1 of the Frigate Fracas tournament. So, new tournament I'm doing. Next thing in the evolution of my tournaments. It's a lot similar to the Battleship Brawl, but with much smaller vehicles. Instead of a 250,000 material limit, we have a 60,000 material limit. What are these guys over here? They look kind of cool. They're like little antenna. But anyway, one other major difference here is the inclusion of, this one, the Manstein here may not actually have APS secondaries. But yes, APS secondaries are a thing in this tournament. They've had some restrictions applied to them so that they aren't extremely overpowered, and because APS just puts Cram to shame as if you just let it do its thing. A little hard to see this boat because it's under the water. But things like these Cram guns here, if these were APS, they would not be allowed to be mounted spinally like this. They would have to be mounted port and starboard, kind of like these faux guns here are. And secondary guns, whether they're APS or Cram, because you can still use Cram secondaries, are not allowed to fire across the center line of the ship. So if this gun here were to fire, and it were to fire in this direction and cross the center line of itself, that would not be legal. I mean, obviously it's not going to do that since it can't fire. But also it's had some restrictions on fire rate and some other things to keep it to keep it fair. I want the Crams to still be the main weapon, but I wanted to see what I could do to include APS, and so this is what we've come up with. But we've gotten a pretty good look at the Manstein by Jinxie here as I was going over the rules. So let's go ahead and head over to its opponent, the Tiny Tim by Void, which you see this has a port and starboard mounted. I think those are secondary Crams. One of the few vessels that actually uses secondary Crams. But oh, another thing that I didn't mention when we were over there at the Manstein was it has to have a port and starboard version. The secondaries have to have a port and starboard version. So for every gun that every secondary gun that you build, you actually have to build 2, and only one of them will be able to fire on target at any one time. That's to keep gun spam down. Plus, you can only have 2 secondaries per primary firing piece you have. So this has 4 primary firing pieces, so it has it could actually have 4 per side, but it has 4 total. But I actually I'm not entirely sure it's possible to build 2 per primary, because it got too expensive. The material limit's too low for that sort of thing. But anyway, enough of my blathering about. Let's go ahead and get this first battle underway. Now, this tournament is going to work much like the Battleship Brawl in that it is based on a number of wins and losses that you get. As soon as a vessel reaches 7 wins or 3 losses, it is retired. That is it. It is done. So up to 10 matches per vessel, just like in the Battleship Brawl. But there is no retirement based on longevity this time around. Why is the Manstein not aiming? I guess it just has weapons limiting it, or maybe it doesn't have enough. No, it has plenty of elevation to fire back from there. I guess its weapons were just restricted from firing from that far away. Oh, but it is taking some free hit, like the Void, or the Tiny Tim by Void here is getting some free hits in on the Manstein. Already taking down 2 of the guns. Oh, and another gun bites the dust. Manstein is getting wrecked by Tiny Tim. Because Tiny Tim the Manstein is just not putting itself in a good position to fire. One thing that is different about this tournament from Battleship Brawl is it is going to be best of 3. Each match will be 3 rounds, and the victor will be the one who has the best record in 3 rounds. Or, you know, 3 battles in a match. So, if you win one and then draw twice, then you're the victor because you got a better record than your opponent, which is a loss in draws. Tiny Tim's aiming at something in the rear of the Manstein here and is having a little trouble landing the shots. Aiming at the rear of the ship is never good. But at the same time, the Manstein has lost almost all of its weapons. This one barrel here is the only thing that might be active, and it doesn't seem like it's actually firing. Come on, Tiny Tim, land those shots. I know the Manstein's doing some wiggling there, but it's like, don't give it a chance to repair and come back and win this. That would be a shame. Tiny Tim is definitely a tiny little boat. I think it's very small. If the Manstein had actually fired on it, I don't think it would weather the hits very well. Just because of how tiny Tim is. Oh, of course, from the depths AI doesn't want to aim, and actually, you know what? These might not be actual guns here. Those might just be aesthetic. Those secondaries. I mean, it has actual parts there. Like you can see gauge ports on the side and ammo things on the top. So they look like they're functional, but they're not aiming or anything. Tiny Tim's practically rolling itself over with the recoil of its weapons. That's pretty funny. Manstein does not have much repair rate either. Oh, deflection! Those shells bounced off the Manstein. Tiny Tim is just not aiming well. But it's as long as it doesn't do something stupid like this self-disqualified, it's got this match in the bag. He just has to wait for 5.5 minutes. That's a 10-minute time limit in this game. Ooh, and that last gun that was really the Manstein's only hope. Just took a direct hit. Hopefully that knocked out the block that Tiny Tim's aiming at back here. Apparently not. Oh, deflection! Yeah, we might see quite a few of those in this tournament because inertial fuses are banned. Not allowed to use them. So armoring up to make shells bounce is a viable strategy. Poor Manstein is just sitting here getting pummeled on. So yeah, I think at this point, folks, I'm going to go ahead and speed up the last 4.5 minutes of this battle, unless, you know, something interesting happens. And there we are, folks. This battle is over. Round 1 goes to the Tiny Tim by Void by a landslide. The Manstein was 0.3% away from despawning when the time limit ran out. So let's go ahead and get this restarted. And we will get this battle underway. Get round 2 going, see if the Manstein can get in range with any of its weapons still active. And actually get to fire some shots at the Tiny Tim. Because with it being that small, I don't think it will take hits very well. But it got so much free damage in before the Manstein got in range and started actually aiming. See, this is the point last time where that front gun got nailed and taken out. But now it's actually getting to fire. Very long reload on the Manstein's guns. Oh, but that hit. Tiny Tim felt that one. Damaged its turret. Superstructure damage. That one shell did like 6% of the Tiny Tim's health and damage. Oh, yeah, Tiny Tim's not liking that. But it's not giving up easy. It is doing a lot of damage to the Manstein in return, but not nearly as much as it's taking. Oh! It takes another hit like that, it may lose its turret. Its one and only remaining turret. It is repairing away like crazy, though. Tiny Tim has a heavy repair rate. But it is getting absolutely slammed. Oh! Big holes getting blown in the Tiny Tim. The little guy cannot take a beating like this. Oh, and it's AI dead. That last shot killed Tiny Tim's AI. And there it goes. That is a despawn, and now it is 1-1. So we're going to go ahead and go to a round 3 here, folks. It is required to have a 5% difference for a victory here, but since we are going into round 3 with the battle tied, that 5% rule is removed for this match. Whoever has the most hit points when the battle is declared over will be the winner of the match. Will claim the very first win in the Frigate Fracas. Tiny Tim trying to take advantage again. He's having trouble landing shells. Manstein has its forwardmost gun aiming, but it dunked its shots into the water. Oh no, and both of the forward guns are out with that one hit. Oh man, that's huge for Tiny Tim there. Exactly what it needs to do to get a repeat of its first victory. The Manstein still has its rear weapons, and once it gets close enough and turns broadside, those guns are going to start hurting. Oh, and the Manstein dunks its first volley into the water again. Really need to lower that required accuracy before firing setting, so they don't do that. Tiny Tim took a shot straight to its turret there. Repair bots are getting right on that, fixing that up though. Hit the Tiny Tim side armor. It seems to be okay. I mean, lost some blocks. It's obviously not good. It doesn't like that. Another good hit right in the side there. I think the rearmost gun, yep, the Manstein is out of its firing arc once more. Now it's turning this way. It's bringing its guns around. But I bet you because of that required accuracy before firing setting, they're going to dunk their first shots again. Oh, that one got a lucky water skip. Ended up hitting the Tiny Tim anyway. Tiny Tim's repair rate is quite good, but it does have limited resources. It's used over half of the materials it's allowed to repair with. that will run out. If the Manstein would just put its guns on target and quit doing this crap. Come on, turn left! Man, Jinxie, you need a new captain. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. It's like, let's just constantly make it so that my only operable weapons can't fire. Also, fire them at bad spots so that they dunk into the water instead of hitting the target. Manstein is losing health quickly. And it's turning to follow again. So this rear turret shortly is not going to have an arc. It did get one last shot off though. Is that actually going to hit? Oh, yes it did. Got awfully close to the gun. We can actually see the internals of the gun there, but it did not manage to damage it. Manstein about to take another hit. Yep, to its superstructure there. It's like Manstein has the firepower, it has the durability to take on and defeat Tiny Tim. We saw it just dominate Tiny Tim in round 2. But if it doesn't keep its guns on target, it doesn't have a chance. Tiny Tim is just loving this engagement. Just gonna keep this up all day. He gets like 7 or 8, maybe even 10 volleys for every one that the effective one that the Manstein gets. Because like those first volleys, like that one, aren't aimed right. So then it has to reload now that the gun is aimed properly. With that barrel damage, I'm not even sure it's going to be able to fire properly. We'll see. Depends on which gun it's aiming with. There it goes. It landed a hit, and that looked... Oh, it hit the same spot it did before, but the Tiny Tim repaired between volleys. Now the Tiny Tim is just about out of materials, which could also run it out of ammo. And if the Manstein can tank through that, it could make up the difference if it could just put its guns on target. There you go, turn left. Turn left. Oh my. And dunked into the water. It's like not that I want the Manstein to win over the Tiny Tim. Like I don't, you know, I'm not playing favorites here, but it's just like you can't help but wish this thing would maneuver properly so it gets the fight right. Because it's just kind of getting pummeled on because it refuses to engage properly. Ooh, that was a good hit to the side of the Tiny Tim superstructure there. We know it, in round 2, the AI dead hit came down in through the superstructure there. So if the Manstein keeps hitting that spot, oh no, the forwardmost rear gun here on the Manstein has been destroyed. And the rearmost gun is damaged. And facing the wrong way. Whoa, Well, I think that is going to be it for this battle, folks. I think the Manstein has lost. Even if it put its gun on its one operable gun on target, I'm not sure it could kill it within the time limit. And kill the Tiny Tim, that is. It needs a knockout punch at this point. The Manstein's only hope is to get a critical hit and AI dead the Tiny Tim. Otherwise it will lose this match. Almost guaranteed. Well, landed a hit on the superstructure, but didn't really seem to do much. Manstein's actually in danger of being despawned before the battle ends. It is very low on hit points. That was almost a turret hit, and if it lost a bunch of those blocks in the turret, I think the Manstein would get despawned. Oh, just as the turret's about to come about, it gets popped, and that is a 2 damage Manstein. It is going to despawn, but the time limit is also passed, so either way, the Tiny Tim is victorious over the Manstein. And has won the first battle of the Frigate Fracas. So congratulations to Void for that one. And alright, so this is how this is going to work. This will be linked in the description so you guys can get to this page. It's also on the forum, which will be linked in the description. So the Manstein has lost versus the Tiny Tim. And instead of doing it based upon the, the priority system that I had before, what I'm just going to do is the active combatant is just going to fight down the list, one at a time. So, the Tiny Tim is no longer the next foe. The FFO2 Propel is. That was the wrong red, but it's not that important. So next the Manstein will face the FFO2 Propel, and then it'll face the Reiter Palosh by Carnival there, and it will just keep going until it either gets 3 losses or 7 wins, and then it will be retired, and then the Tiny Tim will become the active combatant. It'll go down the list. And we'll just keep doing that until everybody's retired. It's much simpler this way. I don't have to keep track of who fought who and different lives and all that other stuff. It makes it a lot easier. I won't mess up things as much. There will be Hall of Beauty for this. Whenever a vehicle gets retired, you will be given the opportunity to vote in the comments, just like in the Battleship Brawl. And I'll record those here, so you know if the if it gets 30 yes votes and 10 no votes, then it has a Hall of Beauty rating of 75%. You need 80% or better in order to get into the Hall of Beauty. 80% or better. Anything under that, you don't get in. Champions, will be people who will be vessels that get their 7 wins, and Hall of Famers are vessels that get 7 wins and voted into the Hall of Beauty, just like in the Battleship Brawl. I'll have separate tabs to record people entering those different halls and whatnot. So yeah, That's going to be it for this episode, folks. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the battlefield.